Hi, this is Kendra from Pencil and Pigment, and today I am working on my to-do list for counting down the end of the year. I sort of have a lot going on in December. So it's our wedding anniversary, it's my birthday, it's Christmas, we celebrate those holidays. And then, New Year's. So it's a lot of stuff in December. So I like to sort of start getting ready in November to reset my art supplies, reset all my stuff, and get that all good to go so I can start 2025 fresh and new and grab things. And then the only thing I have to worry about is just finding time to draw and what should I draw. So here's my Post-its. Oh gosh, my lists have lists at this point. Okay, so always clean my desk. I do that a deep clean yearly, and it's taking everything off my desk, it's dusting everything, it's going through every drawer, everything. Even if I don't declutter anything, which I definitely have stuff I can declutter year after year, I just have to go through and clean it all. Okay, so my desk. My art cabinet, I will show you footage of my art cabinet in a second. I feel like that's warranted. I don't think I've showed it very much. All right, this is the art cabinet that holds all my supplies. So this is an IKEA. It's a 6-shelf. It has 2 doors. I don't know that I've showed this before, so I'm showing it now. I don't even know if they sell this or sell this in this color. Again, this cabinet's probably 8 years old. Let's look inside. All right. Shelf number 1 is filled sketchbooks. You can see they are not stored with the utmost of care. That needs to be changed up a little bit. Shelf 2 is dry media. I have spray fixatives. This is where my pastels live. Charcoals, Conte Paris, all my pens and inks. And pencils. This 3rd shelf is wet media, so I have lots of craft acrylic. And then I have all my watercolor pencils. I have tubes. I have all my brushes. This is all my wet media and my palettes. Yep. This shelf is all sketchbooks to be filled. And then I have some stationery supplies. So I have a lot of envelopes because I make homemade cards with the roll of paper I own. And these are sketchbooks I need to fill for the year. So I need to inventory that and figure out how I'm going to use those up. This is some Etsy stuff, some shipping supplies. Oh gosh, washi tape. It's just a mess. So it needs to be cleaned. And then the bottom shelf, I have pottery supplies. I have a very budget Wacom tablet. And then I have external hard drives, my digital microscope, and just a lot of camera equipment. So these are the 6 shelves of my art supplies. And they need to be refreshed, reorganized, and cleaned. So that'll take a couple hours. Even with just this one cabinet. I don't know, this, comparatively speaking, this could be a lot of stuff. This could be very little stuff. All this stuff is things I love. All these sketchbooks, none of them are older than 2021. So it's time to use things up. And those are some of my filled ones that I've kept. Okay. All right. I want to make a new inventory list. So the one I have is from my no-buy in 2022. And it's great, except I really didn't keep up with it. I went through the trouble of making it and then I didn't keep up with it. So if you're curious how I did this, this is a dot grid, but really any sort of writing surface you have. It could be digital, you could do an Excel spreadsheet, you could just grab any dollar store notebook, just whatever you have already on hand. You don't have to go out and buy something specific for this project. That isn't what makes this project work. What makes this project work is putting in the time and effort in doing it. So paper inventory, my sketchbooks, and then I have little W's here, so like wet media. And then when I've used something up, I filled it in green. I put how many one-sided pages so I could have that inventory list. I have stuff for commissions. I have things that I use for planners. And then I get into my supplies inventory. So watercolors, painting supplies, miscellaneous stuff for my YouTube. I've used up a ton of stuff. My masking fluid went bad, so. And I denote 2 squares here. One is for used and one is for done. So I made sure that I used it during the year, but I didn't use it up. And that's sort of an important distinction when it comes to mediums, because a lot of mediums, it takes way longer than you think to use an entire thing up, unless you're just getting started in the arts and you only have, you know, 4 or 5 things to use. It's really hard to use stuff up, especially the larger your inventory gets. So I was trying to make sure that I was cycling through everything. I actually used my watercolor pencils this year. Yeah. So I need to redo my inventory. Here, my drawing inventory. I've used up a ton of pens, my pencils. Oh gosh, pastels. Okay. So some years I'm more prolific in using all my different mediums, and some years I'm not. And this is one way that I can make sure I cycle through everything evenly. Obviously this year I was just sort of filling my planner. So a lot of this stuff just doesn't kind of, I don't know. It wasn't something that I gravitated towards for an A6 Tomoe River. It just wasn't. So like charcoal and stuff, like you can use that on Tomoe River. It's just a very different, unique surface. So I'm going to redo this. That takes hours. So I'll have to do that. I typically wait. I'm a night owl. Some people are early birds. Hello, my name's Kendra. I'm a night owl. Hello, Kendra. Yeah, so I will probably do this after everybody goes to bed and do a whole inventory. And then I need to clean out my cabinet where my inventory sits and make sure I've dusted it, cleaned it. And then sometimes I do a refresh where I mix the shelves around, I reorganize stuff, and it kind of feels like a new art supply. You're kind of seeing things from a different angle, from a different perspective, and it renews the interest. So I love doing that. And this may seem like a lot of stuff to you. This may not seem like a lot of stuff to you. Again, I have packaging supplies. I have other inventory type stuff too, but I need to redo this. So that's something I need to get onto. I have supplies that have been sitting that I haven't used, and I don't care for them so much. One of them is my Copic markers. I have about 15, and I'm thinking I'm just gonna trade those for a different art supply with another artist. So I need to cull things, get things together, package them up really nicely, you know, put some stickers in there, make it something fun worth trading. And I just need to be really honest with myself. And some of those things, like the questions I ask myself is like, is this fantasy Kendra or is this like realistic Kendra? Because fantasy Kendra is sitting at a park in the sunshine with pastels, living her best life. But I don't use my hand-rolled pastels very much. And I don't like drawing super out in the open, surrounded by people, because I am chatty and I get distracted and then I can't get back to work because I want to chat with people and make art for people, and then I never do what I'm supposed to be doing. So that is fantasy Kendra. That is not realistic Kendra at all. And I have to make those distinctions. So when I look at things like travel watercolors, I love little travel watercolor sets. Like I think those look absolutely like, oh, they look like so much fun. And Traveler's Company has some really, really cute ones, but I don't watercolor in public. I don't do it. I am messy with my watercolors. I'm slow with my watercolors. I don't like people breathing on me. We have some autoimmune compromised folks living in my house, so I'm not a fan of folks breathing on me. And sometimes when I do watercolors, I work small and people have to get close. It's not a thing I enjoy. In my fantasy world, oh yeah, I'm here for it. Watercoloring in public. I don't need one of those ever because that's not realistically something I do. So understanding those distinctions and then realizing that some things in my art supply aren't the best fit. So I need to decide this year if I am going to take my Richardson hand rolled, let me grab those. Here they are. These are my 40 soft roll pastels, the Richardson landscape. Okay, let's talk about this. Oh gosh, I make poor purchasing choices. I purchased this, gosh, I think there's an unboxing video. It's one of my really, really early videos, and it's from 2020 maybe. I don't even know. It was part of a birthday gift. I don't do landscape art. And I don't typically work this big. Yeah, they're small. They're small, but they're like chunky. And a better fit for me would be pastel pencils. Because I like A5 and I like A6, some A4, but I really like getting into the tiny point details, and these are like working with a tube of lipstick. They don't do teeny tiny details like that. And I need to decide if I'm going to try and figure out a way to like wet brushes to pastels and then paint them on so I can get finer details, and maybe I just make this work that way, or if I trade this for something like the Caran d'Ache pastel pencils and just let this go. I mean, they're still in really good condition. A couple of these are missing their papers. Or I'm trying to make this work because this was a purchase. It was part of a gift, but I picked it out and chose it. So I would like to use it. It's not the right color combination. Like the darkest color is this really dark blue. There is no black in here, which is difficult for me. And maybe I just purchase a pastel black pencil or something later on. But I need to make a note of that if I'm going to force this to work. You know what I mean? Or I fill A4s with colors and then I draw on top of it in fine detail, like a reverse coloring type situation. Yeah. And I need to lay out pros and cons. I need to do one of those lists. Have you ever done one of those lists where it's like pros and cons of keeping, pros and cons of getting rid of it, and then you decide? One of those sort of, oh gosh, I forget the name of them. They're one of those like choice matrix type deals. I forget. Everything has a fancy name, but you know, a decision matrix. So I can make a pros and cons of keeping this and list all the different ways I can try and make this work, you know, with A4s and just having sort of marbled solid colored backgrounds on A5s, or pros and cons of getting rid of it, trading it, or selling it and purchasing something that's a better fit in the long run, and then make a list of all the things I could use pastel pencils, like a higher quality artist grade pastel pencil. And I don't see, the other thing is I haven't done any research on pastel pencils, so I don't know what would be the best ones for me. I don't know. Or the best set or the right quantity. So a lot of more research needs to be done. Some decisions need to be made. I need to make some pros and con lists. I need to figure out if this is something I should keep because it's sitting there and it's a beautiful set and they work wonderfully. Some of these are staining. So when you spray, there is bleeding. So just keep that in mind, depending on, you know, which pigment is used for each color. Some of them are more dyeing than others. But that is the nature of the beast when it comes to pinks and reds anyway. So, you know, in case you were curious. So that's another thing I need to decide on. I have some high quality fine liner pens, so I'm not using... I sort of got a box ready anyway. Some of my fine liners I no longer use that are in good condition, like my microns. Gosh, this is a lip pen, the Marve lip pen, and you can see that it's tiny. It's tinier around, like it's really thin. So when I hold it, hand cramps. So I don't like it. But I have some fine liners I need to get rid of just because they're just sitting in a jar. And I have some higher quality ones I use instead. I have some Copic ones where you can change out the pieces parts. And then I have, you know, my isographs, which I absolutely love these. So these don't need to be sitting there. So I was thinking of just doing a trade with all this. These are my Copics. I don't like the smell. And then the other thing is I don't know how to use them. And that's a me problem, not a pen problem. So part of it is me. I don't have the patience to dedicate a chunk of time to learning these pens. And it would be really, really helpful if I did a 1-month challenge just using Copic markers and really got to know them well. That would definitely help this and make me a stronger illustrator with these types of alcohol markers. I don't care. I don't care enough to do that. I think they smell so bad that I want to open my windows when I use them, and it's cold 9 months out of the year where I live. Like, it's just too cold. So I don't want to breathe this. And then the paper, and they bleed through everything. So you need really good paper. And I don't know if Blender is still making their bleed proof paper or what's what. I think Copic makes paper for their own pens too. It's not a thing. Like, fantasy me is like, oh yeah, we're gonna buy all the things and we're gonna get all kind. I took an introduction to architecture class. If you've ever done any sort of architectural drawing, alcohol markers are the way to go for that. Most of them were Prismacolor that we used in class. Never wanted to see a T-square ever again. Architectural drawing isn't for me either. Like, I kind of have to do a thing to realize that is not my thing. I have to learn the hard way. So I just have stuff that's sitting there not being used. And instead of letting it dry out, I might as well trade it with an artist that could get a ton of use out of this for something that I could get a ton of use out of. And I'll have to figure out how to do that. I know folks sell these on eBay. I looked it up to see if that was a thing. I wasn't sure if people purchased gently used Copics. Yeah, I didn't know. And it turns out people sell them. I don't know if anybody's buying them, but there are a lot for sale on eBay. So if you're looking to break into alcohol markers and you don't want to pay full price, buying someone else's gently used pens might be the way to go. I don't know. Again, I'm not fluent with this product, but I've had them, oh gosh, 6-7 years, and I just don't use them enough. So it's time to make tough choices. It's time to list stuff, trade stuff, do the things. The other thing I like to do to reset my year, boy, my stacks are growing stacks. Can you tell I really need to clean my desk? I need to deep clean my brushes. So the brushes I've used heavily this year need a good deep clean. They just do. So that's something I need to get to doing. I need to inventory things. Like, this is fine. I think it's just stained. This one's broken. Like, I don't know if you can see that little hole right there. This is like a 1 ounce pipette and I use it for wetting my watercolors, but it broke and cracked. So I need to start making a list of things I need to replace in the summer. You know, things that are falling apart. You know, I might have some brushes. I need to go through my brushes and make sure they're looking good. If they're broken to a certain degree, or I've had them for a few years and they're starting to look really ragged. Sometimes ragged's fun. You can really smash your brush with the paint and get really fun designs. And for some of my fine tipped detail brushes, I need those looking pretty good all the time. So I need to clean this stuff. I have palettes I've been using all year round that need to be deep cleaned. And then my big one, this is the one I have. And you can see, oh my gosh, can you see this? This is like gum Arabic. I went to squeeze from a Viridian tube. This is just a random tangent. And a ton of gum Arabic came out. So that's just a sticky mess. And some of this has gouache mixed in with it. It's still tacky. Nothing ever dries where I live because the humidity is so high. So these were, this paint was probably put in 6 months ago and it's still tacky. Welcome to high humidity. Hello, forest life. So I have things I need to deep clean and I need to inventory. Not just write things down. I need to write down what needs to be replaced. Like I have, 2/0. So it'll be 00 or 000, really, really tiny 5 point. This is 4 zeros. This is a Winsor Newton Cotman. Maybe you can See the bristles? There's like 7 bristles. So I need to make sure brushes like this are still looking good and behaving, and make sure I can clean them up and sort of preserve them as best as possible. Get their bristles back in a good shape. Yeah, part of my inventory will be going through, yeah, my desk is a mess, and inventorying my colored pencils. The ones that are super short, this is a blender, but the ones that are getting really, really short, I need to start making a list. And since I purchase mediums in the summertime, that's when I really like to shop and browse around, and I get that sort of buying itch. I will have a list to purchase from. I will know which colored pencils it would behoove me to replace. It will take longer probably than 6 months to use up this very specific color blue, but for peace of mind and just having it on hand in my inventory, yeah. I already know I have a big one of this light cream. So this is another thing I need to go through and check and make sure. The other thing is going through my pens, making sure all my pens work. None of them are gummed up. If they are, try to clean them best to my ability. If some of them are running low, make sure I use those up first. I am missing a light turquoise. I have used up all the turquoise in this house. I have these weird metallic ones left, and they are spotty with the ink. So I have on my shopping list already turquoise Pilot pens. I just really like drawing with Pilot pens. It's a consistent ink. It's not light fast, but for filling sketchbooks that don't see sunlight, I enjoy it. If you have, I'm really reaching here. If you have larger brush pens, check in on the bristles and brushes of some of these. Some of these are really old. Like I think you're okay. You looking good? You're looking all right. I feel like there's 2 different wells. Like there's a different well for the fine tip than there is for the brush tip. Correct me if I'm wrong. If you know this is 1 well on the inside or 2, let me know in the comment section. Or I can cut one that's used up and we can look at the inside of a Tombow together. But if you have brushes of brush pens that are getting gnarly or fuzzy, or they just a mess and they don't have a fine tip anymore, that might be something to put on a purchase list. This way we can all make better, solid purchase choices when things go on sale. When we're in a purchasing mood, we just make better choices for a low buy. If you're doing a no buy art supply for 2025, doing an inventory so you can shop your own stash. You shop your supplies, you shop your shelves. It is the single most helpful thing you can do during a no buy. Making sure you reduce your temptations, you list your why, you have that someplace visible, and then you have a really solid inventory so you know what you have and you know how to mix and match that and create some really fun mixed media things in fun ways. Gosh, yeah. Looking at all my things. An art schedule. This is something else that I've been thinking about doing for 2025, and it's for my time management. It's for me. This may not be something that's applicable to you or interesting to you that you may need, but I feel like I kind of need to carve out my time frames a little bit better. And I need to have some dedicated time slots. So I've long since carved out like 5 to 8. 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. is my drawing time. And within that time, I update my Instagram as fast as possible. And that's kind of where that is. That's all I have though. And I kind of need to carve out time for reading. Like reading art business things, art marketing, art news. Like I need to carve in some other time slots for listing things, scanning things, preserving things, going through my sketchbooks, really taking a look and analyzing the question, what do I want 2025 to look like? As an artist, what do I want that to look like? Do I want it to look like me filling all my sketchbooks and making videos and doing that, because that's definitely something I want to do. Do I want to sell in art galleries? That is an idea I'm toying with. Do I want to sell some products, not originals, but like stickers and prints and things on Etsy? Is that something? Do I want to really delve into being sort of a packaging of my art supplies, of my art? Like, do I want to do that? Do I want to market my art like that? And there's some questions I need to sit on and I need to analyze. And again, the pros and cons lists are another thing that helps. Do I want to just update my Redbubble, my imprint? Those are so far out of date. I haven't updated those in years. And then carving out time during the day to scan, to upload, and to do that, because those are time consuming to put things together. And again, since my old computer died, I lost all my Adobe programs. So it's a whole lot of using photopea.com. And that's a free program that acts a lot like Photoshop. And yeah, I mean, there's a little bit of a different learning curve, making sure you know that program, but carving out time to do this. It's just time. And then, so do I need to make a schedule for 2025? So that's sort of what my list looks like. Clean my desk, my drawers, clean out my art cabinet, make a new inventory, sell old supplies or trade them, clean my brushes and palettes, measure my inventory, my colored pencils. I need to analyze my brushes too. I have a packaging dresser full of just packaging supplies. I just need to deep clean it, create an hourly art schedule, and then a low buy shopping list. Which is why I'm starting now, because December is so busy. So I'm making this video now. That way, if any of this rings true to you, like you get into the throes of December and cleaning brushes is just one more thing you don't have time for. If you're visiting family, if you're going to be out of town, if you're going to be wrapping presents, like if you just get into the Christmas mode or some other sort of Yule or whatever, Hanukkah, or just, you know, if you celebrate a thing or you don't celebrate anything and you prefer to hunker down and avoid all the crowds, I love you for that too as well. Like whatever you do and don't celebrate, I support you. But if some of these things are just like one thing too many and you don't have the time, starting now in November. Yeah. So forewarned is forearmed, sort of. You know what I mean? Like you're going through, looking at your glue sticks. How low are all of they? Do you need to make a purchase order? Like thinking about some of this stuff. I know people buy Black Friday or what is it, Cyber Monday, and seeing and checking prices before and after, seeing if there's actually any good deals, if you need new camera equipment, like really analyzing, you know, your office situation. Do you not have an office? Would it be helpful to have a desk or a rolling cart or a file cabinet, or, you know what I mean? Or just some really nice bookends for your sketchbooks. Like really going through and seeing what would be helpful and sitting on that idea. The longer you sit on purchase ideas, the more solid they become, whether you can live with or without them. Is this a need? Is this a want? How do I distinguish the two? And what should I be pushing for myself, for buying for myself, or maybe people want to buy you gifts or something. Being real thoughtful for what you ask for. So I have a lot of cleaning to do. My stuff's a mess. There are, the gold watercolor bits are stuck to everything. So when I go to watercolor, there's like sparkle and everything, which is fine 99% of the time. But for the 1% of the time I don't want any gold sparkle in my watercolor, these need to be deep cleaned. I have a lot to do. And then, you know, making sure that you're putting together your empties for the year. So I have some empties and I'll do a dedicated video of all the art supplies I've used up this year. I've used a lot. Spoiler, it's a lot of pens. But saying what you've used up for the year is a really great way to tell how much you need to purchase for the next year, because you really don't use as much as you think you do. And depending on how often you create or you draw or you paint, you may not need anything. And maybe just having one new pan, one new tube, one new thing, a brush cleaner is all you really actually need. So if you're doing a low buy and all you need is some brush cleaner, you could spend the rest on surfaces if you've used your surfaces up, like paper or mat board or whatever you choose to, canvas, whatever you create on. So you can figure out the best way and places to put your money. This is my to-do list for the end of the year, and I have 6 weeks to get this stuff done. So it may sound like a lot, it may not sound like a lot. Again, we have 3 kids, we're busy. We homeschool, we do year-round stuff. It's carving in time. So I'm gonna slowly go through this list, check things off, spend an hour here, a half an hour there, and slowly get this stuff done. And so by January 1st, all my stuff will be deep cleaned, put away, reorganized, looking refreshed. And that is another level of inspiration to help with artist block, artist burnout. Go through and clean your stuff and reorganize it. It's just a whole new way to look at your stuff when you've moved it all around and switched it all up. So I hope this video helps. I hope it inspires. I hope it gives you some ideas. This is what I'm going to be doing. You don't have to do any of this if you don't want to. Again, January 1st can be very arbitrary for folks, and some people like to refresh every month. Some people are more February folks. Like, I'm here for it. Whatever you want to do. But this is just how I do it. So I thought I would make a note of it to you guys, to you watching, and then if your Decembers look as wild as ours do, this is a great reminder to start now. And then you won't have to rush, and you could take your time and be real thoughtful about it with your shopping lists, with your cleaning, with your reorganizing. Like, it doesn't have to be a hurry up and rush thing. Okay. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful week, and I will talk to you later. Bye.